Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to try to build something I've seen several different iterations of it. Basically, it's just a mini picnic table. It's usually marketed for being a bird feeder or a squirrel feeder, sometimes even a chicken feeder. But I mean, I guess technically you could even use it to serve your cat or dog or whatever. But I kind of like the idea of it being like a squirrel feeder, maybe bird feeder. But anyway, we're going to try to build our own. I'm going to build one about a foot long. Other ones around that size that I've seen are maybe $50 or so online, and I think I can make it with half a board. So with the board, this is Cedar board. It's about $4.50 after tax, and then I'm going to use some brads and glue, probably, I don't know, 50 cents worth. So let's see if I can build one of a $50 item for $3, right? Smaller ones, I've seen smaller ones as cheap as $15, but I think those are usually only about like 4 inches long or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I'm going to try to make one about a foot long. And like I said, those ones usually go for about $50 or so. So I'm going to start by squaring up our end, and then I'm going to take a foot off of this, and that's going to be our tabletop. And then I'll probably cut another foot or 2 feet. Yeah, 2 feet would be about half the board. So I'll go ahead and cut that 2 feet off, and then we'll start ripping that, and that'll be our sides of the table, our benches, and the legs. So I'll come back in just a minute. We cut off our first piece at 12 inches, 1 foot. I've done a little bit of thinking. I'm not following a plan. I don't have any guide or anything. I think I might have misspoke though. I said I think we could build this for half a board. I think it's going to take a little more than that. Maybe not quite a full board, but still we're talking about, even if it were the full board, that's $4.50 worth of wood. And like I said, I don't know, maybe 50 cents worth of brads and glue at the end for assembly. We'll probably slap some stain on it as well. Who knows? Our total cost might be a little bit higher than I was originally saying, but I still think less than $6 total, $5 total, somewhere around in there. I think we're still going to get it done. But this next cut, I think I had said I was going to cut about another 2 feet off of it, but after a little bit of thought, I think we'll cut 3 feet off of it. Actually, I'm gonna just go ahead and use this whole board. I'm not going to make another cut. I'm just going to go ahead and make my rips, and I think I've decided to go with a 2-inch. So that should give me, so this should be about 5.5 inches. That should give me two 2-inch rips. And then the remainder should be about 1.5 inches minus the width of the blade. Call it 1.25 inches for that last piece, and that thinner piece is what we'll probably use for the edges around the table. And those 2-inch pieces will be what we use for the bench and legs. So I'll rip this down on the table saw, and we'll come back. All right, we took the rest of that board and ripped it down. Got our 2-inch wide pieces, and one came out to just under 1.5 inches. If you were trying to be as efficient as possible, you would want to save your scrap wood in as big as a piece as possible. So if I knew exactly what my plans were, I would have cut this piece to the exact length I needed and then ripped it down, because now our scraps are going to be ripped pieces, and that gives us a little bit less options with them in the future. But I just went ahead with it. We're looking at maybe 50 cents worth of waste at the end anyway, $1 worth of waste at the end. So we'll either we'll build another table like this and we'll use those pieces in it, or something else. Or, absolute worst case scenario, they become waste, and it cost us a little bit more to build this than it should have. I'm going to cut 2 pieces of the thinnest rip a little bit less than an 1.5 inch rip at 1 foot, so that they'll be the long sides of the table, and then we'll measure so that we can be accurate instead of guesswork or math work. Our short end lengths, and they'll be long enough to not just cover the end of the board but also go past the ends of the long sides. So I'll get those cut real quick, get all that done, and then we'll talk about how to make the legs with the wider pieces. Alright, so we got those all measured and cut. The short pieces ended up being almost exactly 6 5/8. 6 7/8 short ends. So now we're gonna move over to our 2-inch wide pieces. I'm gonna cut 4 pieces at 12 inches long. That'll be our 2 benches and the 2 supports that go under the benches that connect to the legs. And then we'll cut 2 probably about 5.5 or 6-inch pieces, and those will be the pieces at the top of the legs, directly into the table. And then the legs themselves will have to be angled on the end because they're not going to go straight up and down, they're going to have an angle. So that piece end to end, I think should be about 8 inches of them. But if you're cutting square, it's going to be longer. So, but I'm gonna start with those other cuts first, and then we'll work on the actual the angled pieces of the legs. So I'll check back with you. So it's 4 12-inch pieces and 2 6-inch pieces. All right. Again, none of this is actually attached. It's still just a dry fit. But here's our tabletop with some edges on it. This is like the supports that will go under the benches and the benches themselves. These pieces will go about here or so, and the tabletop will sit on top of them. So the only thing we're missing is the legs that will go from here and attach there about midway, and then on down to the ground. Again, I'm not following any kind of actual plan. I don't have a plan for this. I don't have paperwork in front of me. Didn't watch a video on how to do this. I just saw the things and I'm trying to make my own. But I think that I need about 8-inch leg with about a 30-degree bevel on it, marker on it, whatever you want to call it. So I went ahead and cut the end, set this to 30 degrees, cut the end off. We're going to measure 8 inches, cut that, and then use that as a template to make 3 more. So a total of 4 of those legs, and then we can work on assembly. All right, we got our 4 legs here, and that should be all the cuts we need. I'm gonna go ahead and put the saws away, get the air compressor out, and go grab some glue. We'll come back and we'll start assembling this. Okay, we're about to start on assembly. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on all these edges, and I'm just using this Gorilla glue because that's what I had laying around. This is a type 2 glue, which is for outdoor, but it's, I think, technically water resistant, not waterproof. So I don't know, maybe Type Bond 3 is better than Gorilla glue. Usually I use Type Bond 3, but I think last time I went to the store they didn't have any, so I just grabbed this. But anyway, I have used that before and it works pretty well, so I'm not worried about it. I'll get the top put together, and then, so these are our angled legs. I just used one of the bench tops to make sure we've got those lined up as straight as possible. And then this piece should go right flush to those. And this piece, I'm just eyeballing the first one. I'm gonna say that's about the top of this. This will be the top where this will sit. I'm gonna say that's about 3 inches below the top of there. It doesn't super matter. We're not being super precise with all of this here. But we do want, once we get this one put together, we want our second one to match it as close as possible. so that our tabletop and our benches aren't like lopsided. So I'll get this put together, and then I'm going to use it as a template to make the second one. And then it's just a matter of putting the bench, or the tabletop on the top, and the benches on the supports from end to end. So I'll check back in with you once I get both of the leg pieces made. All right, so we got all of our leg pieces assembled, and our top is assembled. I did this right there. I'll dig that out before we're done. There's a second one in it. Got one in it, so I'll dig the mist out. We'll be okay. So these will be stood up. This is our next step. Spaced out. Let's say, you want to go like an 8-inch space. If there's 2 inches off overhang on each end, something like that. I think so. We'll just eyeball it. We'll space these out. Here's one of the benches. Get the benches on it. You get the idea. Get the benches on it, get the top on it, we're done. We might do a little bit of staining. I didn't sand it down beforehand, so it'd be kind of hard to get in all the nooks and crannies, so our stain might not stick super well. It would stick better if it was all sanded. Hindsight 2020, right? But if you wanted it stained from the beginning, if you're planning on doing this, plan from the beginning, probably go ahead and sand all of the pieces before assembly, and that way you don't have to try to get into all the tight spots. I don't think I'm going to worry about sanding it. I will go ahead and throw some stain on it and just see how well it sticks. But yeah, I'll show you guys once I've got it fully assembled what it looks like, and then if I do go ahead and stain it, I'll show that to you as well. There we go. That's our finished product. I don't even know if I'm going to throw some stain on it. It'll just gray out a little bit in the sun. This is cedar. It'll still last. It'll just turn kind of gray. I could always still stain it in the future. Even after it's gray, you can still throw some stain on it. It'd be better if you're wanting it to be stained to go ahead and do that before letting it go gray, but it'll be okay. Like I said, I'll dig this out. It'll be fine. But that's our finished product. That's our miniature picnic table, bird feeder, squirrel feeder, whatever. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please give a like. If you want to help the channel, subscribe, share, and consider donating on my GoFundMe. Thank you.